Oh, I wasn't ready to share this. Hello, Fuad, and hello, everyone on LinkedIn. Today, we're going to be talking about transforming work for teams and professionals. And as we've seen over the last few years, the way we work has changed drastically for a lot of people. A lot of us want it to kind of stay in the direction it went, a little more freedom, a little more flexibility. Nothing does that better than cloud collaborative tools.
I
Joining
agree.
us is Fuad Mia as usual. I don't know why I pointed in the wrong direction. How you doing today, Fuad?
I'm good. It's a little hot in here today, but doing really good.
I feel like it's cooled off since yesterday. I actually got fairly decent sleep last night. The
That's
unair conditioned house is just not fun.
that's good.
So what have we got for everybody today?
I think as we all know, we heard over again and again that work is changing, but today we're going to show how we can work better with Google Workspace as teams, as you know, partners internally, externally, how converged tools and insights enable us to do better work
That's
faster.
awesome. And I want everybody to keep in mind here as we talk about this. I mean, our entire business from its inception has worked off of many of these tools you're about to see. We are a Google partner, and we also are a Google customer in terms of Workspace and Google Cloud and many other things that you're going to see.
So we practice what we preach very much.
Absolutely. And we did in our past life, too. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this. Fuad and I have worked together for almost a decade now, and the last organization we were at was also a
Well, I think
Google Workspace. Yeah.
every organization I've been through, I was a um, very strong advocate of Google Workspace right from the inception.
Wholesale change. Burn everything down. But you know what? In the end, it was better. I mean, when we were at our previous spot, I remember when I started as a developer there. I started as a mid-range developer for them. Um, I wanted to know things about the customers and how do I access stuff, and it was literally a flat file that gets passed around, and it could go out of date in an instant because someone else added something to it and didn't send an update. And remember files with revision numbers, Fuad?
Oh, of course. Doesn't
Version 18 of the same document.
that still exist to a certain degree, right? In Microsoft platform, and I think it has
It's like
changed,
it's ingrained in the ethos. You don't have to do it that way now
right?
because if you're using things like I don't even remember the name of their drive, but their cloud drive, you can kind of use it like this, but people kind of just keep to the Microsoft way. It's because they're mixing that online offline experience, and it's just kind of not quite there yet. But
Well,
go ahead.
I'm just saying Google is trying to do that to a certain degree, because I think to accommodate some of Microsoft users, they have this coexisting campaign, and I think part of that. So just like as you said, Microsoft has kind of both ways of working, and Google, I think, is also introducing. If you would like to work in version.
Yeah, OneDrive is what I was trying to remember. If you're working in OneDrive, you can kind of get that going, but a lot of people don't, even though they're supposed to. I worked at a previous organization where everything was supposed to be in OneDrive, but because you have all these locally installed apps, you go to anyone's desktop and they have hundreds of files sitting there instead of in the OneDrive.
Well, single source of truth. That's so important in today's context, and I think Google does that amazing.
Well, because it's an entire ecosystem that you work in. So I mean, the norm is to be in it and work in it and keep your single source of truth in it as well.
Yeah. Now, Justin, I think let's start by exploring how work may look like in the future. Um, I think if we start sharing the slides, we will see that um, you know in the future, work would look like this. You'll see those repetitive tasks um, are going to be automated. We're going to see the power of cloud and AI are going to kick in. And yeah, so, and there would be new things for us to learn. In light of COVID, we saw we all had to acquire different skill sets. Justin, you had some great examples when we were last talking about it. Lawyers, for example, they suddenly had to do meetings online and they suddenly have different CRMs. Doctors,
The interesting anecdote, if anyone remembers from the lawyers learning this tech, was the lawyer who got stuck with the cat filter on and had to reassure the court that he was not in fact a talking cat.
I mean, think about having trials in court, right? I mean, think about the decade long time when government didn't recognize email as a means of communication, medium of communication.
Oof. Yep.
Now we are suddenly seeing trials, virtual health consultation, and so much, right? Everything is changing. We're seeing that technical support and on-premise support is also being, fused with technologies to reduce those visits and so forth.
Absolutely. Someone walking across the campus of a large company is inefficient, right? So if you can do more remotely, even if it's within the same building, I mean, you've massively changed that efficiency, right?
Yeah. And the next thing, let's look at where we work. Now, that's changed for almost every one of us, even frontliners, in terms of, perhaps scheduling shifts, and they probably have different, framework and so forth. But for most of us, it's a reality now, right? We're not going to office, all of us, every day anymore. So a hybrid is actually the reality right now. And if you don't have the proper tools, if you don't have access to our, customers, our data, our resources, wherever we are, then that would be difficult.
Well, I mean, like look at you a couple weeks ago. You were in BC, and everything carried on as normal because you had everything on the cloud with you. You carried the whole uh, suite with you, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, nothing stopped me from doing anything. I could call a quick meeting with my team, immediately jump in a call from, 7,000 feet high. Yeah, that's truly amazing. But if I didn't have my tools on my mobile phone, let's say if I couldn't open Google Docs, if I couldn't have if I couldn't open the specific file that I needed to collaborate right away with my teams, that would be problem. So yeah, your workstation is also not just in your cottage or in your home office. Your office is almost traveling with you. And if all these tools that you work with are also traveling with you, you have access to them, they're friendly enough for you to do your job, then I mean, what's stopping you really to go, almost anywhere where you have connectivity and yeah, take your day, the part of the day that you even don't work, take a nice hike or take a nice call as you walk into the forest. But yeah,
And,
let's.
and we're increasingly hearing from our customers that hybrid work is here to stay. I mean, they're downsizing their office space. They're getting rid of office space. They're kind of looking for solutions that are more um, work from home centric with a gathering space that they can all kind of come to when needed for an important meeting, or even just to show some FaceTime with people and say meet your team, spend some time with your team. So it's very interesting to see
Yep.
that the amount of adoption this is getting.
The next thing let's take a look at is who we work with traditionally. That's going to change as well. Now, the reality is for as companies try to be efficient, the first thing they try to look at is cutting cost at various different areas. And as consequence, we're going to see that we'll have to work with more different vendors and partners and different roles. Companies like us, we have adopted this a little bit in the earlier stage, where we have freelancers, where you have contractors from different part of the world, because of the different skill sets that we need are also scarce. But more and more, from small to any magnitude of businesses, you'll have to start working with freelancers. You'll have to
Hmm.
start with contractors, and if you don't have the right tools that manage the governance of data, the security, the seamless ability of collaborating, between all these different role players in your business ecosystem, that'll be difficult. You'll have roadblocks.
It's been a big piece of mind for me, Fuad, that we can bring in external talent and bring them into our ecosystem without overexposing ourselves. So, you control what they see, how much of what they see, what they have access to. And it's simple. I mean, between cloud identity and, even giving them a full-fledged account, um, you can really control and get peace of mind from how exposed you are to these people, because you don't really necessarily know them. Um, you know their skills and what they've promised to you.
Absolutely. And absolutely. And Google Workspace bring all these tools and governance that enables you to manage this very seamlessly. We have been exposed to some other platforms where it's not as easy, let's say. Eh, eh,
I was an exchange administrator, and I can tell you it was not as fun. No.
All right, now let's go to the next slide. We're going to drill down a little bit deeper into what all this could, translate to in terms of how Google could help. First of all, my apologies. I should have done these slides wide, not like this, but I meant to share this with you after this presentation, so it may serve a better purpose for this
Hey,
orientation.
if anyone's on their phone, this is a native experience.
Well, we are a mobile first. The first row, we're going to look at work as an experience. That's true. Not just a place. We covered that a little bit before. Flexibility binds it all together. Now, if we really look at it, even Justin was mentioned it that I was when I was in West in BC, our organization had everything for me to seamlessly continue my work. Our devices are all managed by the organization. In case I lost it during my traveling, it could be instantly, taken out of the network, the trust, deleted, wiped out sensitive data.
Which is incredibly important for us because we have a lot of intellectual property to safeguard.
Yeah, and I think this is a concern for many organizations, right? What if
Oh, definitely.
so that right away, allowed that trust, that security, that that organization needs. All of these other workflows and other tools that we convert together with Google Workspace to augment our productivity, like Zoho CRM, like our own Blue Cat, they're they all work seamlessly on the cloud, and it was basically the same native experience that I have when I am in Ottawa, in my hometown. Nothing changed for me almost, other than being or delivering higher productivity because I was just at a better you know environment.
And I feel like one thing that people really overlook in a really highly flexible and productive workflow is the importance of chat and topic based chat.
Right.
Um, a lot of people have meetings and conversations that could have been solved in 3 or 4 lines of text. Um, if you send it as a text on your phone, like a text message, I mean, that is the worst way to get it. I have one previous client that communicated me through text. And do you think you could find that text from 6 months ago that's critical to the thing right now? Absolutely not. So I really love how we've managed to create a workflow where meetings are for complex topics, but simple questions are kind of asked in a passive manner in chat. They get answered, they're searchable, they stay there forever. We don't have to repeat things. And it's just so critical to the efficiency of our workflow. And I can see this being a huge benefit for everyone else.
Absolutely. Justin, do you mind? Actually, no, I think I could do that. Let's switch quickly to sharing and showing how our basically the operation dashboard looks like. Email
Yeah,
is the
sure.
centric thing. Now, this is my real inbox. I'm not going to open any sensitive email, but let's take a look how I'm surrounded by tools, and tools not necessarily just only Google Workspace out of the box offers, but Google Workspace also offers this interoperability with other tools that you probably already using, and custom, integrations with your own applications or own database and so forth within this interface. Now let's take a look. On the left-hand side, this is what Justin was saying. My chat is right here. I have room-based chats, theme-based chats where I have structured topical conversations with, a defined number of people, group of people that we want to talk with. And then we have personal chats right here that you can immediately talk to. Now, Justin, if I click on him, I can call him right from here. I can drop a video chat. I can even schedule a meeting right from here with just one click. I don't have to add Justin as a participant. Now, if I had 5 other members, this was a group chat, it would automatically do that. And as you can see, it didn't bring another window in the calendar, it just opened right here. And I can choose a time, I can go to the next day, and as I select one, I create one, send, few clicks, my appointment is done with Justin. And
No, and,
Justin,
and it sent me a message that you created an event.
that's amazing. Right now, at some point, I forget which channel is my meet. Does that work here, Justin? If I say cancel my meeting, no, it doesn't. I have to have my bot added here. But you could voice interact as well that cancel my meeting, and it would actually, cancel your meeting with Justin. Or if he doesn't know who you're speaking with, it would ask, "What meeting would you like to cancel?" We should show that. That's pretty slick next time.
Yeah. And note to all Slack users out there, we replaced Slack with this as part of our workspace to just be more cohesive and in one platform. So I would see this as a 95% replacement for Slack even. There's a 5% there where there's some specialized stuff, but for 95% of functionality, we managed to completely eliminate, an additional license because of this.
Well, I mean, the cost saving is a huge part, and yearly saving. That if your team is medium-sized team, those
Mhm.
licenses add up. It's thousands of dollars. You can convert those, consolidate cost, and not. I mean, there's also another benefit to it is that it really natively integrates with everything. Your
Mhm.
docs, your spreadsheet. I mean, your chat is a part of your entire suite, and it just seamlessly blends in with everything. We'll show you in how you can use it in Google Docs and everything else. Now, if you go in mail here, I go back. I just wanted to show some other stuff. Just jump in if you want to do.
Yeah,
I
sure.
I clicked on my meetings icon and I can see what are the meetings I have. And again, I didn't navigate away. These are the next upcoming meetings I have today. Um, I go back into my mail and I want to find an email from Justin so that I don't have anything sensitive. My clients, that's a simple one. And if I open, well, actually, I have one open here. If I open Justin's email, whatever information I have Justin in my CRM about him, I'm treating him as a customer here just to show you. I can see how much money I have earned from him. What is his phone number if I need to reach out to him right away? Uh, and what is his website and all of those things that could pop up as I pop this email programmatically connect one application to another, and then boom, you bring context into one place. And this is also a great example of API to API. Google Workspace
Exactly.
is allowing you to bring information from other places contextually. And this
And,
particular
like while we're using Zoho, I mean that's just our preference. I mean, this is a great integration with HubSpot, Salesforce, and other CRMs as well.
Absolutely. Let me open another email, for example, Richard Shaw. And if I don't have Richard Shaw in my contact, it will actually prompt me to create a lead, create a contact. Those next contextual actions are in place. So again, I don't have to be, in another place, leaving this place, and then getting distracted, and that would be unproductive. But if I could all do all this here, return back to my email, that'd be that'd be much more productive. Or let's say a customer actually emails me and I see all their information in terms of current deals, current opportunities, current tickets. That would allow me to write a better email to my customer because I could see immediately what are the current things that are going on with this customer. I don't have a fake customer, so I can't really show you how you all see this, but we should definitely do a fake customer.
We
And
can go more into CRM integration in another one. We're kind of trying to hit all the main points with this, but these integrations are awesome because it keeps people in one place, keeps them focused, and people's main complaint when you're doing a kind of integration of new technology is they ask how many times do I have to switch screens? How many times do I have to open new tabs? And for some reason, people are averse to the tab. Now, for what I know, you're normally not. I often see you with 40 to 50 tabs, and somehow you know where everything is. But on average, people don't like that screen switching. So trying to keep it all in one ecosystem, one place is really good for uptake, really good for morale, really good for proper workflows.
I got a very generic sales email. I think the other people are spamming us. So let's take a look at this. I Nothing was matched, so I could actually create a lead. I could create a contact, and then
Ah,
and it will take information right from this email, saving me some time. Copying, pasting, or even so whatever it could pull from here. It could pull the name, it could pull the email, and it's allowing me, as per my business, logics, whatever. Oops, I clicked. As per my business logic, the information that I want to collect to create a contact or to create a lead, I have it right here in place. I don't have to walk away from this. That
which
adds
is
value.
tons of time saved because you basically do this and then move on to the next task as opposed to switching back and forth, finding things, creating. It's just such a seamless process.
Well, let's take a look at custom integration. Let's say your uh, organization has had an application to process automatic, not automatic, sorry, to give you a suggestion for reply. Let's see what it does. Well, at UC Lab, we try to often automate things and save as much time as possible. So we don't want us to wander so much on writing emails. We want to you know get some ideas before we write those emails. So here's one of our own application, the custom application that we integrated with Workspace that gives us suggestions based on email content here, what we could reply them with. Saves me tons of time. And this one actually I often use. I often don't like the first one. I often like the second one or third one. It's learning my behavior as well. And it's coming up with whatever I like mostly. Was it the same exactly? No, it's a little bit different. Every time we should
No,
give me
no, this one's saying you're not the right person, even though you are. It's learned your patterns well, Fuad.
That's awesome. So as you can see, there's so many different possibilities. We even have our invoicing software. So if let's say if um, Pilar was a customer, I could actually see what's pending invoices are and even value, right? And my staffs could have more context, and you can actually govern who would be able to access this information and so forth at a very granular level. And that's where all this is so good at. What else did I miss about it, Justin? I think few other actions that when I went to these tabs, I didn't show you is that I can create a meeting right from this place. New meeting, boom, send invite, and
And I like how integrated Meet is in all of these mediums, right? Because like how often in a chat room do we say, "All right, this chat's going nowhere. Let's have an actual meeting," and you can just drop that link there for everyone. There's no going to a third party platform and scheduling it and clicking new meeting, inviting people. It just does it. Yeah, example right here. This is a very frequent thing we do. It's almost muscle memory at this point.
let's say if I didn't know, I was confused who this guy is, I would say, "Who is Pilar, Justin?" And then we'd start a conversation right from here. We're jumping on a video call, even, if you have a nice joke. But
Well, I mean, yeah, this would be my general answer to that. That's what you get.
and then you have a video call. I'd be clicking on this, and then we are in a call.
And it's so seamless to go from that passive text to that active meeting in a situation like this.
100%. And let's say I actually was very interested with, meeting Pilar. I would be creating an event right from this email with this context without doing so much work. That, hey, Pilar, I got your email, blah, blah, blah. The email is embedded right here. He's already the participant. I could just choose a time that works with me. And
you can loop in one of us. You can loop in Parth, our lead engineer, whoever you need.
yeah. Now, here I could add Justin.
I love that it's me and Parth as the first two suggestions. Who do you meet the most, Fuad?
So what Justin and I are pointing out is that it's personalized to you. Google Workspace learns your behavior, and you have this, personalized suggestions everywhere, so that you can do things faster. For example, I said, let's get out of this.
Well, this is the cool part about the Google stuff. There's micro AI baked in everywhere. I mean, they've added things from like these personalizations of who you meet the most, who you might want to meet based on the context, but also they've added document summarization. They've added, you were just telling me about the flow into Google Sheets from BigQuery. It's all based on interconnectivity and machine learning, which is just so awesome. And I think it's why they're far ahead of the competition in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Are we actually answering Pilar now?
But my colleague, maybe.
Oh, you're passing them to me. Okay, that's great.
I'm just trying to see this contact. My computer is so slow. Awesome. Now, let's take a look at the security warning that I'm getting by default. This email is, outside of our domain and sharing if you have staffs joining on a daily basis, this kind of security that comes automatically, intuitively, could help a lot of miss events that may happen.
Well, and like, let's delve deeper into this. There's other messages for inbound emails that can warn you about potential phishing, potential dangerous emails. Um, in a Microsoft environment, this is something you deal with a lot, and the solution there, typically for an administrator, is to filter them out so that the end users never get them. But there are instances where, in an inbound sales or inbound contact workflow, where that's not the preferred method. So what ends up happening is these messages actually end up getting delivered either with a hard message in it, or no message at all, warning the end users, and they have to kind of deal with it themselves. Whereas Google's kind of ethos on this is to provide them with the information they need to stay safe in these messages, and so it's deliverable, but it's also safe.
And if you really wanted to include some sensitive information, you do have other additional options. Let's say you need to make sure that he is the person who is receiving it. And this is often a great example when you share contract with your customers that consists sensitive information, or you are in healthcare, you are touching sensitive information, personally identifiable, and both, let's say, about treatments and all of those things. You'd be able to add another factor of authentication before they can access the content of this email. So if you know their phone number, for example, you'd be able to say, hey, as they open this email, they would be getting a second password, just like multi-factor authentication, and they'll have to enter that other code that they'll receive on that on the other device in order to access this content. You can also make it time sensitive so that they only have access to this content only a specific duration of time, and so forth.
And through the pandemic, people might have seen emails similar to this. If you had to do any email transactions with your bank, the default way of sending is something like that. A lot of them were their own homemade systems, but this is kind of in that same realm where the message exists on their internal systems. You're going into it, and you have to securely authenticate who you are to even see the message.
Absolutely. Now, in your compose right here, you can also enable custom integrations. I have, for example, Lucid Chart. I, from time to time, need to access my Lucid Chart resources to touch. So instead of going to Lucid Chart, downloading them into my local drive, and then attaching them into my email, with this integration, I can simply actually choose, or even search, and then let's actually choose analytics, whatever may not be relevant for us, this conversation. But yeah, right from here, I'll be able to touch it. And
Which is handy, and it's a great example of how extensible the overall platform is, because one of the handy ones for me is the Quickbooks extension, because there's a lot of things that come in dealing with financials, and with the size company I do a couple things that are still financials, so it really helps to be able to get our QuickBook information immediately. We can see the status of accounts, we can see receipts, we can input receipts, which is just so handy rather than flipping screens and being psychotic about it.
absolutely, one of the use case we often hear commonly that they have to download from one system and then upload into another system. The vulnerability is huge. You are actually, even though you may have a strict policy in practice in place that every day at the end of the day or every 30 minutes, you're deleting your cache, you're deleting your local files and so forth. But we talked about experience. Remember that if I had to go through all that while I was in the West, connecting to a VPN, to right, and then download files from one place and bring it to another place in order to collaborate, that would make my day impossible, to work seamlessly while I'm doing trail in, you know in very remote places.
Micro tasks suddenly become major tasks if you have to
Mega
do all that.
tasks. Yes, then they become your desk tasks, um,
Hmm.
and not just
Let me
any.
get my laptop task.
Right. Um, yeah. So that's huge. So if you are using Google Drive for your resources for all of these things, then it seamlessly is right here. You would be able to interact with all of those content. Um, you can search, and as you know, Google is using the same search technology and machine learning that they use for Google search enhanced for your uh, uh, work uh, platform, that is. So here, let's say I'm looking for anything, I don't know, KPI. Boom. I could, this is the right one. And insert. And it's inserted.
And it handles all the sharing of that file because of it knows who the recipient is and who should be able to see it.
Right now, if I add here, let's say, different, actually, that'd be a little bit confidential. We do a dive, deep dive later on confidentiality and so forth. But you see how easy it is, all the contextual tasks, how integrated they are in one place. My computer is acting a little slow. What I can't really show is it actually suggests as I type for the next word. Please do not. No, it's too slow. It's not showing. But it'll give me
We got to
suggestions.
get you a new desktop there for what?
I'm using some of the external hardware peripherals, and they're slowing my computer
Oh,
down.
I know. The cam link that we use for the cameras is just like the heaviest piece of hardware slash software in the universe.
So I only remember this pain whenever I'm streaming, and then I don't. So I go,
Yeah,
oh,
like normal work, you're just like, whatever.
yeah. So other things that you want to know, and you probably have this in most other common popular platforms as well, which is you can schedule this meeting. Justin is a big fan of work hours emails. I am not. I mean, I find emails as a passive thing. I wake up in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, I see an email. If I'm in the mood, I'll reply right away. But Justin and I know some of my friends, they may not find it, appropriate if you send them an email at 3 a.m. in the morning because they're obligated to reply. They're that good. So if you know that in the organization, and if you're like me, I use this feature a lot. I don't send, including my wife, email. I send them
You
whatever.
email your wife?
I do from time to time, but I schedule them, depending on my purpose and intent. And sometimes externally, when I'm sending an email to a customer, I usually send it contextually, and that's a great feature I find. Without having another extension doing it built in right there, that really helps. Um, Now, what are some of the other things we wanted to show advanced is let's take a look at automations we talked about that Google Workspace bring. Let me see if I can bring it quickly.
We'll go back to us until you get that.
I should have loaded it before.
Oh, it's all good. What are we looking at? We're going to look at some sheets.
Some app shit is just loading.
Ooh. Appsheet is a fun new tech. How long's that been available? About a couple years now.
No, has it? Then time flies faster.
Was it? Were we still at MediaForce when we started
So
Like,
Appsheet, oh, you're right. As an independent
yeah.
application, it's almost always more than a couple of years. You're right. It's almost 10 years old.
Hmm.
But
Really?
Google acquired it, I think, about a year and a half.
A little more than that, I think.
More than that, eh? Okay, you may be right. You may be absolutely right. But very high level,
They haven't fully realized it until now, and we'll let you show why and how.
very high level. Let's say you wanted to build an automation. If you have anything in mind, our audience, you can definitely let us know. But a quick one, for example, let's say we want to build a small app that checks in, or maybe
Hey,
just
can we use our stream schedule that we built last night?
as a database. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we can. Let's do a simpler one with this. For example, let's say a patient EMR.
Yeah, okay. That's simpler. Okay. Okay, I'm
Users
with you.
can add patients. Did it not? Right, that's the first step. It has a collection of patients. And
Okay,
then,
there's the suggestions. Users can add new patients, new create patients.
right, look how slow it is. Now it came back. Now I can type again. That's,
Let's specify your computer is slow, not Appsheet.
I'll look at the suggestions. We'll do all of this, but let's say users can manage create patients. That's not right. So you go back.
I
Listen,
think what happened here is the entity patient was actually picked up as create patient because of the way we typed it.
typed it, yes. But that's one thing I want to show, that you have to have absolutely no experience. You explore through suggestions, and you would understand your intention with the suggestions. What are those? You know how you can start building. It is fascinating, and AI on top of AI. It's the entire application is actually going to be built from taking instructions from human using AI. It's understanding your intent using AI, and then it's helping you create a database relation architecture. And basically, it's just going to interact with the database. And that is
This this as a developer scared me a little when I first saw it because you could see a lot of your work just disappearing. I mean, when you need a micro app internally, I mean, you usually go to a freelancer or you have your internal team do it. Anyone with the vision for what the app needs to do, as long as it needs to store and interact with data very simply, very easily, can build a full fledged application right here in Appsheet just by telling it what you want it to do, which is terrifying.
now see how I'm adding more complex instructions. So initially, you start with very, what are the entities are now. I said users can log information about patients, and really understood that very easily. Now let's take a look with these three components, how the application looks like. So this is create patient, that's patient name, as you can see. I click on patient one, and I have patient description, and then I have actions here. I can actually uh, create a log on this patient. And this I will be able to define, of course, what are these informations log you would be able to have. And it really becomes as simple as that. You start with instructions, it gives you visualizations, and then you deploy it. Some features that you'd be fascinated, for example, let's say we wanted to add a map feature. Ah, it's so slow.
And Fawad, while you do that, like this can tie into like a Google Sheet where everything entered in here ends up in Sheets, and you can kind of work with it there too, right?
You can bring data and take data. from Google Sheets, from almost anywhere. Now, depending
For
on plans, if you want to bring, SQL data, you have
that costs a little bit still, I think.
right. If you want to add, let's say, more classifications, let's say you want to take a picture and you want to understand if the picture, of a specific use case for you, of something that you sell is broken or not, you'd be able to connect another machine learning model upon taking that picture from this app to have that prediction automatically. So if I'm really trying to
So I
type a
mean, you could build like a timesheet application. You could build some kind of data entry where you don't want to expose the sheet, but you want to expose the
to
entry
start
portion
with,
of it.
to
Yeah, I'm thinking simple little things that people can do.
absolutely to start with, and the capabilities go a little bit more beyond adding.
Oh
You
well,
know,
yeah, you could get really big with it. You can build entire. You could probably. Oh, you could definitely build a CRM with enough time in here, at least a basic one.
absolutely, but I mean, if you go really big, when you have thousands of users, then you should move out of no code application for more, you know, uh, resiliency and for a lot more other reasons. But this
Then you hire people like us to build a real big app.
right, but this is for you, right? This is not for coders. This is for end users to build powerful applications and deploy it in your organization. You may want some help from your agency, but this is actually end users, business people. You're talking about, uh, small companies if they have one person who is taking care of the technology, or you're talking about one entrepreneur who is very tech savvy, or they would like to explore a little bit. With half a day of work, you would be able to automate most of your pain points and embed this application in your workflow in other places. So it's really made for uh, the end users to start with. Now, if you want to connect other APIs with this, other machine learning models, other databases that are sitting on different multi clouds, then yes, you'll need some help. But to start automating different pain points, to start, let's say, tracking your staff's hours, checking in, checking out, that would be,
Yeah, there's some asset management things like that.
yeah, you can actually,
And these are all common tasks in especially small to mid-sized organizations that need not a dedicated software for this, but something
right.
simple and easy to use.
So just by adding the photo, uh, imagine in no code, uh, it would take, I mean, with code, it would take so much. Here you have all of these abilities built in.
File
Uh,
handling does suck even in small applications.
I forget how to add map, but we'll show this later on. Where
We
you
could
have,
do. We could literally do an entire live on Appsheet itself and what we could do. Maybe it'd be a good idea to show people an end-to-end app creation in this in a later one.
absolutely. And other things that we haven't really dived into, where Google is a little bit ahead than a lot of other competitors, is in terms of inclusivity. As Justin and I are meeting many people, we could actually, you know, communicate in different languages. Participants could speak in different languages, and we will see captions translated in real time in the languages of our preferences. Um, I mean, think of that use case in so many other business use cases, in patient doctor encounter, and business use cases where you are meeting freelancers. Um, we just talked about, earlier in our presentation, how your work landscape is changing. You'll have to talk to different types of partners
Yep.
and
Many different people
companies.
from many different places.
Right. And Google is probably, we are hoping that that caption is soon going to be translated into audio in near real time. Then you'd be meeting people from, across the world with different languages. Everyone would be speaking their native language, and everyone would be also listening in their native language. That'd be excellent. And the document sharing, all those other things are really, really powerful in terms of collaborating. You don't have to work on one document by yourself and then pass it to the next person. That could happen in parallel. We do have a couple more slides. Justin, should we go through them? Do you have time? The augmented support.
Yeah, I guess we could look at that. Let's see. What slide number is it? Do you remember?
You just had it. So, I mean, we can talk about this too. Programmatic creative content. That's often a very common problem for small to medium-sized businesses. You have all of this content that you want to serve to your marketing campaigns, but they are siloed. And in our last organization, one of the things that really allowed us to adopt early enough programmatic content marketing was the ability of Google Drive. We were able to serve it from here, putting it in one place, labeling it nicely as well, so that those metadata also were used to recognize or take certain information from there to better understand, facilitate that understanding to programmatic content serving. And
And that's awesome because cross team collaboration is a pain right now. I mean, for example, here like us portraying your in-house marketing team with your external marketing. Um, that is a huge lag when you have someone manually doing that collaboration. So if you can use a shared drive or shared asset like that, I mean, that saves so much time.
yeah, I mean, not just for programmatic, you're absolutely right, Justin, but for teams, if you can have an organized shared drives, this is for the marketing team, this is for that team, or within the marketing team, they'll go more granular. This is for the external agency team. This is for the internal team. This is, you know, this for this creative, this content, that content. We often have folders and shared drives divided by, for example, HR and accounting, marketing, developers, and so forth. And within them, we have different governance of folders who can access what, depending on the roles within that department. But this programmatic content serving for marketing, as a small organization, it was really, really hard. Serving it from Google Drive to marketing programmatically, that was really, really cool. The next thing, Justin, if you go two slide down, actually there it is. Now this is
Oh,
a
oh.
new this is I think we're going to see more and more, and more exciting, the, the wearables and interactions with wearables. In this case, what we see, the use case of using Google Glass, doing a meeting while you are supporting, um, while you are troubleshooting, while you are interacting with machines and so forth. It may do many things. Augmented information is one. So let's say I'm looking at a specific parts or tools, and imagine my manual is portrayed right there for that part. So I have all of those specific information that I need to know while I'm troubleshooting this. Um, and imagine doing this also in a hybrid virtual context as well. If if the if your customer can can send you images where you can overlay information for them that give them huge understanding right away.
Well, let's look at what technology this is comparable to, right? So if we go back to a dawn of time of the remote desktop, tech support remote desktop in your computer so they can see what you see and they can troubleshoot in real time. Now, if you're an auto mechanic or some kind of maintainer of equipment in general, I mean, you can get your vendor on a call. They can see what you see. They can see where the problem is that you might be missing in that screen. So this is like the remote desktop for the world. It's the remote world, really. I mean, anything you're doing, it could be applied to medical, industrial, anything that needs, a second set of eyes. You can now get that from an expert, across the ocean if you wanted to.
Absolutely. The augmented way of doing troubleshooting and support, that's going to be, I think, in the DNA of support in the next
Well,
generation.
because let's think of how we're doing this without the wearable, okay? I've got my phone and I'm trying to do something with one hand to the device, and I've got my phone that I'm trying to show it to. And I've done this with my dad, me trying to fix my car on the side of the road.
Right?
And I have to show him. So, but like with this, at least it's a wearable, it's hands free. The person on the other end can do more than just tell you; they can actually pop up documentation right on that display.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new world of efficiency and
And it's a two-way
productivity, really.
thing too, Justin. I mean, if the technology becomes accessible and affordable, let's say the customer also has wearables, and let's talk about plumbing, right? I mean, we could, as they go down the sink, if they're wearing the wearables, um, we can actually really show them. They can see the augmented information, how they have to turn it. We don't have to say clock,
Oh yeah, from their snake, they can have the snake video feed.
right? Yeah, I mean, sometimes explaining, turn it right, left, look
No, you're other right.
right. Yeah. So imagine even that context. It'd be really a delightful experience, faster, and I may not even have to go to to on premise to help you, because it'll be facilitated enough that the customer now would be able to do it with our support.
AR has excited us for about 6 or 7 years now, but I think when we first saw it, the physical tech wasn't ready. But I think these new generations of wearables are actually finally caught up to the software side of it. So we're going to see some really exciting stuff, especially coming out of Google in this regard.
Some other things we should probably dive deeper: the ability of, for example, forms, you know, creating forms in 30 seconds, very, very complex, logical, rational forms, relational forms, and then publishing it for surveys, for many different things. Well, employee well-being. Thank you for bringing that. That's a very important one. There's many different signals and tactical strategies, that you can quickly execute with Google Workspace tools to understand and facilitate a better workplace for for your staffs. Uh, that starts right from the starting of adoption. There are dashboards for admin that will show, for example, who has if any, obstacles adopting any of the tools that are being promoted to them to adopt. What is the adoption rate, and where are they getting paused, and so forth. Tools like surveys and forms that HRs can create, and the built-in analytics after the survey information that automatically presented to HR is is hours. We know in our colleagues in HR how many hours they invest into taking this raw data from the surveys and forms, and visualizing it first taking it Excel, and then visualizing it, contextualizing it, and then presenting it, and then taking actions. But what if 8 of those actions could be eliminated? There's no need to take the data from the form. It's already going to be there as they're going to submit it. And then the visualization is also automated as the data is coming in real time. So you're becoming a real time data driven business. automatically out of the box.
And then you can take it into things like Data Studio and kind of add additional layers to it. And so much you can do. And I think that's another good micro segment we could possibly do at a later date too, is a little bit of Data Studio stuff.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the topic of connected sheets. We often find that a lot of us, we're not well versed in BigQuery and SQL queries and those kind of things in
Well,
marketing.
and developers are expensive. Let's be real. I mean, if you're a small to mid-sized business, it may not be in the budget to have someone who's an expert in BigQuery come in and do an app for you.
And connected sheet is actually, I think that's revolutionary because now suddenly marketers, finance, HR, everyone has the ability of interacting with big data. And without knowing queries, how to query those data, if you know how to work with Excel and spreadsheet, now you have all of that ability in your spreadsheet with connected sheets. You can do whatever visualization or analysis you'd like to do with the speed and power of BigQuery without the knowledge of coding.
Which is so essential for small to mid-sized enterprise, because like I said, it's you're taking the resources you already have and empower them with tools that are far beyond their typical capabilities, and letting them do so much more than they could in the past. And it's all because of this platform and the clever use of AI in places and clever use of codeless design. It's incredible.
Amazing. I think we took much
Yeah,
longer.
we weren't gonna do an hour on this, but there's so much, and we could probably talk about this all day, literally.
But ultimately, Google Workspace saves you time, helps you do your work faster and better, I think.
More collaboratively.
More collaboratively. So, yeah, would love to help. If anyone has any questions, reach out to
Yeah, I
us.
mean, yeah. If anyone is interested in any of this, learning more, reach out to us. We can definitely help get you started, or even just answer those questions. And we're planning some micro sessions on things like Google Sheets, Appsheet, Data Studio, and things like that. So you're going to see more on this series coming in the near future.
And if you're interested in getting these slides that we have actually quite a few more of use cases as businesses, how it could be used. So yeah, uh, give us a shout. We'll love to share.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.